Okay, I'm going to be doing a bunch of close readings of different passages from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And some of them I've edited them down to kind of clarify meaning. So you may find them different than if you're using another text. But if you're from Langdon Park School and you're using these from the booklet, these should help you get through some of the more precise language analysis that you need for the exam coming up. Okay. So this is from the prologue, which is a summary of the story, which is a really good way to remember exactly what the play is about. Two households. I mean, these are families. Some people think gangs now. I think that's inaccurate for this time, but it's worth thinking about. Houses were established institutions, networks of family, networks of people who owned property and who had relations, and there were rival families. And these two households were of the same dignity. They were at the same level, and they're the Capulets. That's Juliet's family, and the Montagues. Montagues. Sorry, my spelling. In Verona. So the setting is Italy. And for context, why would an English playwright set his play in Italy? Well, there are a few reasons. Italy was center of culture. So there's some contextual things to think about. Center of culture. It was, certainly not London. London was a backwater in comparison to Italy. Wealth, power, but also as it was Catholic, in contrast to England's Reformation, it was also associated with corruption. And stereotypes existed then as they do now. And Italians, excessive emotion, both love and hate. So that's why we lay our scene, as it were, in Italy. So from ancient grudge, from a very old fight, from an old fight, breaks a new rebellion, or a new one. So there's this old grudge, this old kind of hanging over hatred between them, comes a new fight, a new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. So fights in the streets are making the citizens' hands dirtied. That's an interesting thing to think about, how violence here, what love and hate, which are the two principal themes, I'd say, of the play. This hatred brings blood and violence. From this new mutiny, also, the fatal loins, and it's very, very hilarious, loins being the nether regions of your body, the where you procreate, from here bursts two of the two foes have from both their loins have created a pair of star-crossed lovers. So star-crossed is fate. Fate dictated that they would love, but they would love, but they would also, and spoiler alert, suicide. It's a love-suicide play. Whose misadventured, piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife. So the death of these brings an end to the disagreement. So it's only through this tragedy that we get the end of this. The fearful passage of their death-marked love. Apparently what we're going to watch is fearful, though I don't find much of it fearful. Maybe the ending. It's quite entertaining, actually, of their death-marked. What kind of love do you have? Death-marked. It's fated, star-crossed, death-marked. It is inevitable that the whole story will lead to this suicide and death. So the passage of their love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove. Only thing that could stop the rage is the death of the young. Is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage. From this one line, there's been a lot of supposition that Shakespeare's plays would last 2 hours on the Globe stage, meaning they would probably read a lot faster than we do, or potentially a lot more was cut. They're hoping that you can listen to this patiently, and anything that you don't get, the work of the actors is going to try to fix. And that's worth thinking about. The work of the actors will help you, will help fix anything you don't understand. So the opening, we get the basic scene, we get the idea that there's a very old fight between these families, and from it, a new fight's breaking out, which we'll look at in the next scene. And from their loins come 2 lovers, but unfortunately, those star-crossed, they're fated to commit suicide, and their suicide finally brings an end to the strife here.